Ladies and gentlemen, Krzysztof the Polish Geek, and welcome to another video game review, another video game that I truly love, and that's, in my opinion, one of the most underrated video games, Assassin's Creed Unity. I am a huge fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise. I know there are plenty of people out there who aren't really huge fans of this franchise, but I really love my Assassin's Creed, and I sort of was a fan, but in all honesty, this is another franchise that I think it's really now time for it to retire, honestly. If you asked me only 2 years ago, I would probably very much be begging for an Assassin's Creed game set in Poland. Either during the Teutonic Wars or during the time Poland was divided, at the end of 18th century between Russia, Prussian Kingdom and Kingdom of Austria. There are so many interesting moments in Polish history that would make it perfect for an Assassin's Creed game. But honestly, with what I've seen, latest things from Ubisoft, nope, I don't think I would want it now. I think that it's time for an Assassin's Creed franchise really to end. Assassin's Creed Mirage, I gave it a very positive review when it came out, but upon more replays I realized at the end of the day, you've seen it, you've played something like that before, but better. So, Assassin's Creed Mirage is one of those games that I was kind of nostalgic when it first came out, but upon another replay, I realized it's not that good. If I just want to play an old school Assassin's Creed game, I just pick up one of my favorite ones, like Assassin's Creed Unity, that we'll be talking about. And one last thing about it, I'm not even interested in the new Assassin's Creed game in feudal Japan. Not only it doesn't seem historically authentic in contrast to all the old games, the series, but also we already have plenty fantastic video games set in feudal Japan. Ghost of Tsushima, Sekiro, Shadow Dice Twice, why do we need another one? Another thing I always loved about Assassin's Creed, how it often explored time periods that not many other video games explored, like Assassin's Creed Unity, which explores one of my favorite periods, one of my favorite historical events of all time, the French Revolution. And I will say, Assassin's Creed Unity is so underrated. It's the most underrated game in the franchise, and I'm going to even as far as say it's actually one of my favorites in the whole franchise. Probably only right behind Assassin's Creed 2. That's right after Assassin's Creed 2, I say Assassin's Creed Unity is actually my very favorite game in the franchise. The game was hated upon launch, and I predict it's probably because of bugs and glitches, but personally, I never experienced them, because I didn't actually play the game right upon the launch. I actually played the game a little later than when it launched, and I really didn't experience that much bugs and glitches. And again, in my opinion, Assassin's Creed Unity is literally one of the best in the franchise. I love Assassin's Creed Unity. First, what I have to talk about is the graphics, art and visuals, because they are simply gorgeous and phenomenal, and they age so well. This is literally a game that was created back all the way in 2014, 10 years ago at this point, and it is still one of the best looking video games I ever seen. It's literally 10 years old, but sometimes it actually feels like this game was even made in the future and then brought back to the past. And the city of Paris is so beautiful, and I love how nicely it is recreated. I often come to Paris, and it's one of my favorite cities ever, and when I'm playing this game, I often actually use my real-life knowledge of the city to just roam around that beautiful city here and there. And fun fact, for example, look at this. This is the place called the L, or something like that. And fun fact, this is actually the place where I frequently go to the cinema whenever I'm in Paris. Of course, the game takes place in the 18th century, so there is no the cinema here, of course, but it's still a wonder that that the creators are able to recreate the wonderful city of Paris into a video game, and not even just Paris, but an 18th century version of it, actually. This game impressed me back when it came out, and it still looks so impressive and far better than a lot of modern video games. As I said, because of the amazing visuals and graphics alone and the whole immersive nature of the game, I just love to roam around 18th century Paris. One of my favorite things about Assassin's Creed Unity was always how it actually felt like a breath of fresh air after Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And I want to make it clear, I adore Black Flag. Black Flag is also very much one of my favorite games in the series. But at the same time, I was also a little tired of all the ship roaming and all that. Again, it was amazing, and I really loved all the naval battles and sailing and singing shanties with my crewmates, as well as hunting some sharks. But I also thought that there was so much of it that there was simply a time for something new and fresh. And Assassin's Creed Unity was exactly that. And it moved action back to a big historical city, and this time it was set in French Revolution. And the character was an assassin almost right away. Plus, the game looked so beautiful. Yeah, I've already been talking about how beautiful this game is. I really love the open world of the game too. I mean, if you compare it with Ancient Egypt of Origins or Ancient Greece of Odyssey, then yes, it does feel pretty small, but at the same time, the big city of Paris is all we need for this game. And as I already said, Paris is one of my favorite cities in real life, and it's also very much my favorite city in the whole series. I just love to run around Paris and never get bored, and also sometimes see places in Paris I very much know in real life, as I've already been saying before. And there are also plenty of awesome, interesting side quests that I like doing, and in plenty of open world games, as much as I love open world, I do tend to use fast travel, but not in Assassin's Creed Unity. In Assassin's Creed Unity, it would just be wasting the wonderful exploration to use fast travel. And parkour of the game is also amazing. Parkour was always one of the most typical things in the Assassin's Creed series, and it was kind of missing in Black Flag, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing because it's not like it could fit really anywhere in the game, but in Unity though, parkour is excellent and the game takes full advantage of its beautiful visuals and the city of Paris to implement parkour wonderfully. And walking around rooftops of 18th century houses of Paris is just wonderful. I also really love the gameplay of this game, and I actually think that it's the best gameplay in the whole series. I know there are some people out there who can see that very much don't like the gameplay, but I really love it, and it's actually more challenging than the gameplay of the previous Assassin's Creed games, which was kind of easy. And in addition to the overall beautiful look of the game, which also very much complements the awesome gameplay. And the stealth is also by far the best in the overall series, and you truly feel like you are playing as an assassin. And the combat is awesome. It's like a swashbuckling with sabers and rapiers, and I really love that. And it gives me vibes of some awesome swashbucklers like Pirates of the Caribbean or the Three Musketeers. And I really love dueling with enemies on sabers and rapiers. There is an awesome side quest where you even specifically have to sword duel your opponents. It's actually one of my favorite side quests in the whole game. Plus, I also think the combat is actually the most realistic in the series, and the character deaths when you kill them feel and look so real, and giving enemies the killing blow feels so natural. I do love the story of this game. It's not the best Assassin's Creed story, to 2 will always be the best, and that's okay. The story of Assassin's Creed 2 is just so fantastic that wanting Unity to be as good was nearly an impossible task. Like, I still very much love the story of Arnaud, and I think he's like the 4th best protagonist after Ezio Auditore. Of course, then comes Cassandra, and then Edward Kenway, and yes, Arnaud is 4th for me. The story is that Arnaud's adopted father, who was actually a Templar Grandmaster, was killed by more radical Templars, and Arnaud wants to avenge him. And if that isn't a unique story for the series, then I don't know what is. I really love Arnaud's character development, and I also think his revenge story is pretty good and interesting. And I overall really love his character arc. And his romance with Elise, who's actually a Templar and the daughter of his adopted father, is also adds even more uniqueness to the story. Some people say it's sort of a Romeo and Juliet story between assassin and a Templar. Not sure if I would quite call it that, considering that Elise actually forms truce with Arnaud and assassins, but I see what they're saying. And the story also has plenty of emotional and unexpected moments that you won't see coming. And another part of the story I love is how the game explores different factions of Templars, something that previous video games haven't really done in the series. In Assassin's Creed 2, Templars were just plain evil, and one of the major themes was how Templars strayed away from their original ideals and became so power-hungry. And in Assassin's Creed 3, Templars, on the other hand, were actually kinda sympathetic, actually, and you kind of felt guilt about killing them. And this game nicely actually combines that theme with Elise's father and Arnaud's adopted father being a good, noble man who, while still a Templar, he has very noble intentions and actually forms truce with assassins, but then he gets killed by more evil radical Templars, and then whole story of Arnaud and Elise embarking on revenge. And the story doesn't even fully whitewash assassins either, like there are evil assassins in this game too. Like it kind of involves those emotional moments I've already been talking about. And your assassination targets in this game are generally actually evil assholes, mostly those radical Templars that I've been talking about, and assassinating them was bringing me huge satisfaction, like in the first game in the series and the second game in the series. Another thing I really love about Unity's story is that while previous games very much require to play whole series to understand full story, Assassin's Creed Unity's story could easily be enjoyed without playing any of the games in the franchise prior. I mean, the lore of the franchise is very wonderfully implemented into the story and basically plays main point in the story, but somehow it's done so well that the game can be enjoyed by both longtime fans of the series and newcomers to the franchise alike. A very strong complaint that I often see online going about Assassin's Creed Unity, and one that I couldn't disagree more, is that French Revolution is mostly just used as a background, but it doesn't really have much effect on a story, but I very, very strongly disagree with that. Like, I think the French Revolution is integrated in the story wonderfully, and I think it plays a very gigantic role in the story. Like, for example, one of the major plot points is that those more radical Templars that assassinated your moderate adopted Templar father, like, they're literally the ones that caused the French Revolution, to cause chaos, so they could take whole control of the world and that the Templar ideology could rule the world. Plus, so many historical figures from the time period show up, and we also see plenty of important historical events that happened during the French Revolution, like the execution of King Louis XVI, and also Napoleon Bonaparte plays a huge role in the story, and I think this version of Napoleon Bonaparte is much better and much closer to the real Napoleon Bonaparte than the recent Ridley Scott movie.
Grand Châtelet this afternoon.
If there are any flaws in this game, I say there are two. One very minor and one slightly bigger. But first, let's get the minor one out of the way. That's what I see lots of people complaining, is that characters don't have French accents. I mean, in the Ezio games, almost all characters spoke in Italian
Here, as promised.
Grazie, brother.
You still haven't told me why you want these.
accents. But in this game, everyone speaks in their own accent,
Templar badge of office.
What's it doing here?
even though they do try to use French terms. But overall, that's a very minor one though. But now let's get on to the slightly bigger one I have. And that's that whole story of Arnaud having a revenge quest to kill radical Templars who killed his adopted father. And as I said, I think it's overall a pretty good and interesting story. But Arnaud never goes after Shay Cormac, a man who killed his actual real assassin father. It's also said that Shay Cormac was actually a protagonist of Assassin's Creed Rogue, the game that actually came out along with Unity, and assassinating Arnaud's father was literally the very last mission of the game. That was such a wasted opportunity. Having Shay Cormac be an actual final boss after the whole main story would be such an amazing and poetic ending to the story, and it would also be pretty emotional too for those who played as Shay Cormac, like I did actually. Fun fact, I played Rogue before Unity, and I did like it a lot, actually. So, having a final boss with Shay Cormac and defeating him as Arnaud would be, not only would be very emotional, it would also nicely complete the arc of the last few Assassin's Creed games together. It would basically nicely bring the video games set in the Americas and Unity full circle. Oh well, you can't have everything. Assassin's Creed Unity is one of my favorite games in the Assassin's Creed series. It is so underrated, like it's literally my second favorite game in the series, only behind 2. Like, not only it is the best looking Assassin's Creed game, but it also has the best and most challenging combat in the whole series. Like, anytime I want to play Assassin's Creed, I generally actually play Unity. That's right. Like, this is probably the one Assassin's Creed game I actually play the most. And I'll also talk about some other Assassin's Creed games I really love, but I decided that Assassin's Creed Unity must be the first because it's so underrated. And yes, the franchise has gone downhill and I'm not even interested to play the new game, but it doesn't change the fact that we'll always have magnificent, fantastic games like all the Ezio games, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and this underrated amazing video game. And thank you all of you for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you later, bye!